Hey everybody, welcome to a Cricut craft tutorial. Today I'm going to show you guys how to do a messy canvas. So I'm going to show you what you need first. You need a canvas. Got this one at the local craft store. Some paint brushes, one for each of your paint colors. Acrylic paints. And then I'm using just a paper plate to put my paint on. You guys can use any color paint that you want. I'm just going to use one called Lemon. And then, I don't know if this one, Sizzling Red. This one has glitter in it because you can't go wrong with glitter. I need to shake them up a little bit. And then I'm just going to use a plain old black. When making these, I always recommend that you use at least 2 colors, but usually 3 or more is going to look a little bit better. It's just going to show a lot more contrast. This one is a little bit watery, so this one might be like the last one we paint on. But all you got to do is just sort of make a pattern or don't. This is one of those projects that you can be your own creative boss with. You can use as much of one color as you want. You can do them in swirls. You can do them really just however you want. And this red is super watery, so I don't know if this red's going to work out. If it doesn't, I will change it out. It's fine. So all I'm going to do is just pick a paintbrush and I'm just going to start painting. You guys don't need to worry about being super clean with it. You don't need to worry about putting it around the edges either because the edges will be covered. So this is a really fun project. And it's super fun because you could do this with your kids. You could do this with your girlfriends for a girls' night in. This is just one of those projects that doesn't take really much artistic skill. It just takes your desire to be creative. I'm going to make sure that I do cover my entire canvas with my paints, but I'm also going to not care if they bleed together a little bit, like right here where they're kind of a little bit bled together. I don't mind that, and I think it looks kind of cool. So I'm just going to paint and make fun patterns. Let's try the red. Let's see how watery it really is. It looks really, really watery. Yeah, it's super watery. I'm going to change this red out, so I'm just going to paint some of these other colors really quick. And then I'm going to get a different red because that one is really, really watery, and I'm not sure why. I haven't used it in a really long time, so it might have just gone bad. But like I said, this is just not a project where you have to put in a pattern or... It doesn't matter how you guys do it. It's really just up to you and how you want to paint it. If you don't even really want to paint like where your design isn't going to be, if you know kind of an idea of where you're going to put your colors and your design, you don't need to paint in that space. You can leave that space blank if you want to. I'm going to go ahead and make sure these two kind of bleed together because I know that I'm going to have a decal, or my decal is going to sit in that spot, so I'm just going to kind of make sure that they all are blendy, and I kind of like that look, so I'm just going to make sure to blend them a little bit. I think that looks kind of cool when they're a little bit more blended, so I'm going to just do that really quick. This one didn't come out quite as well, but that's okay. Again, this is one of those things, you don't have to be exact, you don't have to be perfect. You can just come in and paint and do whatever you want to do on your canvas. I'm going to go run and grab a different red, and when we come back, you'll see this is going to be all painted. But you guys can see I didn't really do this in any kind of like a pattern or anything. I just sort of slopped on some paint in just kind of a weird design. So let me go grab a different red, and then when we come back, this will be all painted. We have finished painting. It's, as you can see, it's red, yellow, and black. This is going to be a Harry Potter theme, so I'm doing a Gryffindor theme. We're going to let this dry. Just make sure that when you're doing this that you are covering up all the white, especially if you're going to use white spray paint like I am. I did also forget to tell you guys, do make sure that you do have a spray paint because you will need that for the final coat. We're going to let this dry, and then we'll coat it with Mod Podge just to help adhere the vinyl to it and also to keep the paint from peeling off of our canvas. So we're going to let this dry for a little while, and when we come back, we'll have put the layer of Mod Podge on because I don't think you all need to watch that, and we will be able to apply our vinyl. We've put our layer of Mod Podge on. Like I said, you guys didn't need to see that. Something we all know how to do. I just brushed it on, and all I used was the yellow one, so it's the Mod Podge matte. I didn't use glossy, and you can see I've got it all painted and we're ready to go. I already weeded my vinyl, and I'm going to show you guys. I just used like a really ugly patterned vinyl that I got for free in one of my grab bag ones that I ordered from 651vinyl.com. One of my favorite places to order from. So all I'm going to do now, and you don't have to press it down right away, because this is what I love about this. You can move it around a little bit until you get it placed right where you want it, and then you press it, and it should stick no problem. So I'm just going to sort of figure out about where even is and where it's going to cover most of this, gosh, my brain is just not working. Most of the canvas. What I like to do with mine, because it's going to stretch it, is I'll flip it upside down, just like this, and I'll take my Cricut scraper to the back of this, and I will press it this direction, because that way you're not stretching out the front of your vinyl. And I'll just make sure that I get all the way into the edges, and then we're going to go around the front, and we're going to do the edges, just because this one does go a little bit onto the wooden part, just in a few small spots. So we're just going to make sure that we get those little small spots that are on the wooden frame. And you guys can do these a couple different ways. You can do them like a reverse canvas if you wanted to. I just don't really like trying to get all the staples out and things. So I'm just a little bit lazy when it comes to these, and I just prefer to do them like I would just do a regular canvas. Now I used 2 pieces of transfer tape because I didn't have a real long, like thick piece to use. And so all you're going to do now is just lightly peel off your transfer tape, and you may need to just sort of double check your stick on some of them, and you may want to flip it back over and just repress, because sometimes it likes to stick and other times it doesn't. It just depends sometimes on how hard you've pressed, how long it's been stuck to the transfer tape. There's a lot of different factors in how sticky your transfer tape is. I'm just using the contact paper from the Dollar Tree, so it's not real super sticky, and I think that helps some. And you just kind of want to watch as you're pulling that it is releasing all of your letters. And like I said, this one I did with just 2 pieces of transfer tape, and I actually think for this one it might have been a good idea, even though I didn't mean to do it that way, just because it's not super sticking. So I just want to make sure that I'm only going in small sections, because I've got these little pieces of my letters, because I used I believe it's called Lumos or Luminos, I'm not really sure the name of it, I don't remember. It's one of the Harry Potter fonts off of DeFont. So it has a couple like little pieces here and there. So I just want to make sure that those do in fact stay stuck, because when you do the eyes on this one, it has like a little star above it. Oops, and my S didn't want to stick and I missed it and almost pulled it off. So you just want to go really slow, and you'll see that what I'm doing is just rolling it off of my letters versus actually really truly pulling. I find the rolling releases it a little bit smoother. And as you roll them off, just like I said, just pay attention and make sure that all of your letters are sticking to your mat. And if you end up with like a really big excess and you don't want that, so it's not sticking to everything as you're pulling, I just cut off my extra transfer tape. And like I said, this is contact paper from the Dollar Tree. It's not even really supposed to be transfer tape, but it works really well. And all we're going to do is just, like I said, roll off our letters. And you can see as I roll, I do have to occasionally roll it back down to help a letter stick. But that's why I did this, and I'm glad I did this in the smaller sections, because that way when something isn't sticking, I'm not trying to pull the whole entire design off. I'm only peeling about half. So I can pay a little bit better attention to the small areas and the letters, each in their own right. Oops, and that B wants to come off. And all I'm going to do is just get the rest of this extra sheet off. Oops, and I can tell you right now that that grow is not stuck because I just pulled that up a little bit. So you can just go back in and repress, and I'm going to probably flip it over again. And I'm just going to make sure that I'm pressing really well on this side of the canvas. And sometimes this is just sort of a going over it a couple different times. Just take your time. Don't get too excited with your design. I know it's exciting to see it once it's all done, but just take your time, and that way you make sure that all of your design is going to stick to your canvas. I only did 1 layer of Mod Podge. You guys can do more if you want to. Sometimes it helps it stick, other times it really doesn't make a difference. And I have noticed that the more humid that it is in the area, the worse it is to try to get anything to stick. So I live in Ohio, so it's pretty humid lately. So I'm pretty sure that's not helping my cause any today. But we will get this all stuck down. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go out, and I got some white, hold on one second here, I will finish that sentence. I got some white spray paint. So you can use any color that you want depending on what you want your design to be. I just wanted a white one because I wanted this to be sort of simple, with the exception of the letters, which are going to be black, yellow, and red. But I got a white spray paint, so when I do this, we're going to spray paint the entire thing. We're going to use light layers, and we'll go over all of that as soon as we go out there. But we're going to do light layers, and we are going to make sure that we cover the whole canvas. And then once that's dry, you can go in and peel it off your letters just like you would weed them off of your other sheet. And once you peel your letters, you'll have this really cool looking design, almost like a pattern vinyl, but without actually having to use pattern vinyl. The other thing that's cool with these is you guys can be really creative, and you can do them opposite. So instead of putting down the letters, you can actually just put down the outside. So you can like do a reverse weed where you use it more like a stencil, and you can have the whole outside be this kind of crazy paint, and then you can do the inside as white or green or whatever color you want. I'm going to go this way just because this guy has a couple like really little star tops. I don't know if you can see them real well on the film right now, but the tip tops of the eyes have these little stars on them, and I know they don't like to stick, and especially this one because it's right on this corner. I couldn't press it very well, so I'm just going to very carefully make sure I come up to the top and do this one by itself. Just a personal preference thing. The more you do this, the more you sort of learn how you like to do your different techniques. So I think everybody does things just a little bit different, and that's okay. It's whatever works for you. And right now, this is just being kind of a pain. But I think, again, it's just the humidity, so I can't be too mad at it. And what we're going to do is once we get all this peeled off, I'm going to go back over this just with my fingers, super lightly, just like this, just to make sure that everything is stuck down, there are no bubbles, because you do want to make sure that when you do this that you don't have bubbles around your letters on the edges and things, because the paint could bleed. Because we're going to do a light layering, it probably won't be too much of an issue, but a lot of people, if you're painting the top layer on, which I do not recommend, I do recommend doing a spray paint because it will look smoother. It will actually look like the canvas, versus if you're going to paint it, you're going to have brush strokes, and I just don't like that look, and I think you get a fuller coverage from a spray paint, but it's all personal preference. So, and it's, some people it's whatever you have on hand. My spray paint was from Home Depot, and it was like $3, so it's pretty cheap, and it's a pretty big can, so it will last me for like a bunch more crafts. So we'll be definitely doing some more things with white spray paint. But again, you guys can see like the letters aren't really sticking super great to this, but as I roll it off, they do hold on. So you just have to kind of guide them a little bit, and that's totally okay. The O's seem to be pretty bad about it, and these little edges on the E don't like to seem to come off. I also did leave this on the transfer tape overnight. The last couple that I've done immediately, and it comes right off the transfer tape, no problem. So some of it could be contributed to the fact that it was on the transfer tape for a little bit longer than some of the others that I have done. So that's something to consider too when you're doing this, is if you want to weed it and put it on transfer tape and let it sit overnight, or whether you are more comfortable just doing it all in one fell swoop. I did not, because the paint needed to dry. Alright, so I know it looks kind of crazy right now, and that's totally okay. It's going to look a little bit crazy until we get the other set of paint on it. So let's get this guy all pressed down. And like I said, you can notice there's a little bit of bubble on this O. And so all I'm going to do is just make sure I go around the O. And I'm going to just make sure to check all of my letter O's, because those seem to be the worst as far as getting them to stick and stay in place. And so I just want to make sure that all of the O's are nice and smooth, and make sure just all the letters are pressed down. When we come back, we will be outside and we will be putting on some white spray paint. We're ready to paint. So this is the paint that I bought, just Rust-Oleum Painter's Touch Ultra Cover Paint and Primer in one. So I shook it up, and all I'm going to do, again, light layers, because you don't want to get your canvas too wet. And I'm actually going to change sides because the wind's blowing a little bit. So we're just going to real light layers. And you do want to make sure you go on the sides of it, because they're going to be a slightly different shade of white than what your canvas was. So we're going to let that dry for a minute, and we'll come back through with another layer. And you just want to cover it so that you can't see any more of your... Did notice one of the letters was bumped up a little bit. Hopefully it won't bleed too bad. If it does, no big deal. We will survive. You just want to make sure that you can't see any more of whatever you painted on it. So if you did, dark colors, it's going to take a few more layers than if we were to have done light colors. So just keep that in mind when you choose your colors. To how many layers and what color you're going to paint over your canvas. So when we come back, I'll have all the layers done, because it's going to need at least one more, and we will be able to pull off our vinyl. We've let it dry. I let it dry for about 2 hours, just because I was doing other things. So we're going to go ahead and peel this off. I'm going to use my CRICUT little pick tool, but you want to be very, very careful if you're using this, because you don't want to pick through the canvas. And I will tell you right now, I do know a couple of my letters did lift, and therefore there is probably some bleeding. So this may not be the perfect canvas, which kind of makes me sad, but at the same time, I feel like these are kind of fun because they don't really have to be the most perfect thing you've ever seen. I think that's sort of the point of them, is to be just a little bit fun, a little bit different. And you can see as I'm peeling how cool this is starting to look. These letters are really popping, and I'm hoping you guys can see that really well on this camera. I'm going to peel one of the ones I know lifted and see how badly we bled. And actually, it doesn't look too bad. We got a little bit of bleeding right here in the R, but it's not too bad. And I do know the Y. I'm probably going to lose a little bit of detail on the bottom of it, because he did lift a little bit when I was making it. But that's okay too. No big deal. Like I said, these things, I mean, they're not, we are our worst critic. So if it's not perfect, I'm usually the one that can judge it, and I'll show it to my husband or one of my girlfriends, and they just think it looks great, and I think it looks like crud, and usually it's just because I am judging all the work that I put into it. So, that being said, I think no matter what, as long as you are happy and whoever you're giving it to, or if you're keeping it yourself and you like it, then you are good to go. We do have a little bit of letter bleed, but it's not too bad. I did end up putting the layer on the bottom of this a little bit too thick, I think, so that might have been part of my problem, but it wasn't really covering very well on that one edge. So I do have a dog hair stuck in the paint, so we'll peel that out. And you guys can see it's really, really coming out really nicely. So we're just going to make sure that we're very careful with our pick. And if you have nails, you could probably just stick your nails under these and pull them up. Which, I mean, I have nails, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. That seems to actually be working really well. I was afraid it might pull up the paint, but it's really not. So I'm going to just hold this up so you guys can see a little bit better. Look at how cool this looks. And these are obviously the Gryffindor colors. I love Gryffindor. Always have been a big fan. So I wanted to do it in Gryffindor colors with a really cool quote. I thought the quote was really very appropriate for Harry Potter, even if it's not from the movies, because he chose his house, and he also grew up to be a very strong person. If you guys have any questions or anything, please make sure you comment those down below. Let me know, do you guys like Harry Potter? Is that like, you know, something you guys are into? What is your favorite movie or series or book? I always like to make crafts that kind of center around things like books or movies. I think they can be really fun and creative. So if you have something you want to see, I will be happy to make it. I love doing things that have like a theme because I think they're really, really fun and you can be so creative. So I think that's a lot of fun. Now you can see the bottom half's coming out really well. I did get a little bit of bleed over here, but I kind of think it works really well with the colors I used. So that little bit of white bleed, you can't even see it. So it's not too bad. A little S bottom stuck here. But actually, honestly, guys, using your nails seems to work pretty well if you've got them because it's not going to poke through the canvas. I will say occasionally I'm getting a little breakage in my vinyl, but that's probably more likely me. Okay, now here we do have kind of a dark bleed. I don't know if you guys can see that too well, but it's right here at the bottom of the O. I may just go in and touch that up with a little bit of yellow paint, or I could just leave it. It's not too bad, but we can always do a little touch-up if need be. But we're just going to keep peeling until it's all done. Are you guys into Game of Thrones? That one's been pretty popular lately. So like I said, I did use a Krylon paint. If you're going to pick up paint, make sure that you find one that is going to work on your canvas. Some of them are kind of specific to what they will work on. Like some of like the glass stain type ones. I might need to get that one with my scraper. I don't know if I can get this one. There's one right here that I just can't seem to get to come off. So I'm going to have to use my scraper to just get under the edge without stabbing the canvas. There we go. Those are coming out really, really nice. I have to say I am pretty impressed with how this is coming out. Just so you guys know, and if you haven't seen some of my other videos, a lot of times, and in this time included, when I am making something or doing a new craft, it's likely the first time I have ever done it because I don't like to make things and then have to go back and remake them. So 9 times out of 10, I just go for it and try it on the canvas or on whatever project I'm doing. And if it comes out, great. And if it doesn't, well, then it usually doesn't end up as a tutorial. I've only had one that didn't work out, and I'm going to go back and retry it now that I think I figured out what I did wrong. We did get a little bit of bleed on that T. I will say I did try to make sure when I was doing the spray paint that I was going straight from the top and not from the sides too much. I think that helps with some of the little edge bleeds that we get. I'm going to have to go at that little star, I think, with my Cricut hook. But yeah, so a lot of times, like I was saying, if you see these crafts that I'm making, it's 9 times out of 10 the first time I've done it. I don't like to waste materials. Like a lot of the stuff I do, I'll make and just give to my friends. I'm going to do a giveaway soon, so if you guys are interested in a giveaway, make sure you comment below what you might be interested in winning because I would love to do a giveaway for you guys. You guys are always so super loyal and so fun to chat with. So I would love to do something that you guys could enjoy and keep forever and also learn how to make on your own. So we're just going to get these last little bits of stars off. And I have to say, guys, this craft was really easy. Pretty cheap. I got my canvas at Joann Fabrics. They were having a super good sale and it was 70% off, so it was only a couple dollars. But you can get these at Michael's, on Amazon. AC Moore has them, but pretty much all your craft stores you're going to find these at. And like I said, you can do these reverse canvas or you can do these like regular canvas like I did. Well, guys, we are all done and everything is peeled, so let's hold it up so you guys can see it the right direction. Here it is. It is all finished. Like I said, this was a super fun and easy craft to do. If you guys have any questions, please let me know down below. I'm always happy to answer those for you. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. I put out new videos all the time. And make sure you do hit that bell icon because I will tell you when I put out a new video. I hope you guys had a really fun time learning how to do a hot mess canvas. Have a great day.